Hello and welcome to Spectrum Sphere, the hub where curiosity fuels discovery. Today, we're delving into a part of history that shapes our present, the Cold War. Join us as we uncover its origins, its global impact, and how its echoes still reverberate today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and embark on this informative journey with us. The Cold War refers to the prolonged state of political and military tension between Western powers, led by the United States, and Eastern Bloc countries, spearheaded by the Soviet Union. Lasting from 1947 to 1991, it was characterized by rivalry, espionage, and the constant threat of nuclear warfare without direct conflict. At the heart of the Cold War was an ideological divide. Capitalism, championed by the United States, emphasized free markets and private ownership. Conversely, communism, led by the Soviet Union, advocated for state control of assets and an economy without class divisions, a stark contrast shaping global politics for decades. As World War II came to a close, the Allies' unity began to unravel. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers with clashing ideologies. Tensions escalated as they vied for global influence, setting the stage for the decades-long standoff that would be known as the Cold War. In 1946, Winston Churchill gave a significant speech, coining the term Iron Curtain to describe the growing division in Europe. This metaphorical barrier represented the ideological and physical separation between Soviet-controlled Eastern Bloc and the democratic Western nations, foreshadowing the entrenchment of the Cold War's political boundaries. In response to growing Soviet influence, the United States unveiled the Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan. The Truman Doctrine, announced in 1947, pledged U.S. support to countries resisting communism, while the Marshall Plan provided over $12 billion to rebuild war-torn European economies, hoping to prevent the spread of Soviet ideology through economic stability. As tensions mounted, Western powers sought security. In 1949, this led to the creation of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a collective defense pact to counter Soviet aggression. The Soviet Union countered with its own alliance in 1955, forming the Warsaw Pact, entrenching the division of Europe into two opposing armed camps. In an ever-escalating arms race, both superpowers amassed vast nuclear arsenals, capable of annihilating each other and the world. This led to the grim doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, where both sides were deterred from striking first by the guarantee of their own total destruction. Transitioning from the ominous backdrop of nuclear rivalry, the Cold War's tensions manifested in key conflicts like the Korean War and the Vietnam War. These confrontations were not direct clashes between the superpowers, but fought by proxy, deeply dividing nations and setting the stage for a global struggle for influence. The rivalry skyrocketed beyond Earth as the space race took center stage. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite, a feat that stunned and challenged the United States. This galvanized America to embark on the Apollo missions, culminating in the historic moon landing of 1969. Moving closer to the precipice of annihilation, the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 brought the world to the cusp of nuclear war. After American spy planes spotted Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, a tense 13-day standoff ensued, with both superpowers grappling with the weight of their next decision. Behind the obvious battles, a secret war raged. The CIA and KGB engaged in a high-stakes game of espionage, employing a gamut of tactics from surveillance and wiretaps to covert operations and defections, each side vying for a strategic edge in a world where information was as powerful as any weapon. The Cold War's reach extended far beyond Europe, igniting proxy wars in Africa and Latin America. Superpowers backed opposing factions, fueling conflicts like Angola's Civil War and the Nicaraguan Revolution. These wars left lasting scars, disrupting political landscapes and impeding development in these regions for decades to come. Amid escalating tensions, a glimmer of hope arose with détente, a policy aimed at easing Cold War hostilities. Central to this thaw in relations were the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, or SALT treaties, which for the first time put caps on the number of nuclear weapons held by the superpowers, steering the world away from the brink of nuclear catastrophe. As Cold War tensions simmered, the Soviet-Afghan War signaled a significant shift. Starting in 1979, the USSR's invasion of Afghanistan, intended to support a communist government, became a grueling conflict. It drew in the U.S. in a proxy struggle, further entrenching Cold War divisions and expending vast amounts of resources and lives. In the Reagan era, defense took a futuristic turn with the announcement of the Strategic Defense Initiative. Termed Star Wars, this ambitious program aimed at developing a space-based anti-missile system intended to protect the United States from attack. It marked a significant escalation in the arms race and technological innovation. As we witnessed the decline of the Soviet Union, economic pressures substantially intensified. Coupled with an expensive arms race, the Soviets faced crippling stagnation. Ultimately, the people's cry for liberation crescendoed with the symbolic fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, a pivotal moment that foreshadowed the impending dissolution of the Soviet state. The unraveling of communist regimes across Eastern Europe marked the beginning of the end. In 1991, a series of events, including a failed coup in Moscow, catalyzed the disintegration of the Soviet Union. By December, the Soviet flag lowered for the last time, signaling the official conclusion of the Cold War era. As the Cold War receded, the world witnessed the emergence of the Russian Federation from the ashes of the Soviet Union. This transition brought about significant political and economic turmoil, testing the resilience of a new Russia while reshaping the geopolitical landscape of the post-Cold War era. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union, NATO began expanding eastward, incorporating many former Warsaw Pact countries. This move was met with increasing trepidation by Russia, viewing the expansion as a direct threat to its sphere of influence and regional security, leading to a deepening of new international tensions. As the Soviet Union disintegrated, a new class of businessmen, known as the oligarchs, emerged. They amassed great wealth through the acquisition of state assets, often at undervalued prices. This period of economic transformation saw a drastic shift from a planned economy to a market-based system, albeit with significant growing pains and disparities. The dissolution of the Soviet Union had profound effects on its former republics and Eastern Bloc countries. Many faced political instability, economic hardship, and identity crises as they struggled to transition from communism to capitalism and integrate with the broader international community on their own terms. In the Cold War's aftermath, nations veered in diverse political directions. Some embraced modern democracy, cultivating freedoms and open elections. Others, however, slid into authoritarianism, with centralized control stifling opposition and curtailing liberties. This bifurcation has had a lasting impact on global politics and human rights. Despite the end of the Cold War, the threat of nuclear proliferation remains a global concern. Many countries have since developed their own arsenals, while nuclear-armed states have modernized their stockpiles. This situation underscores a delicate balance of power, arguably maintaining peace, but with the ever-present risk of unimaginable destruction. As the Cold War ended, a new conflict emerged: cyber warfare and information conflicts, which have become modern battlegrounds. Nations now engage in digital espionage, hacking into secure systems to steal secrets or destabilize governments. This invisible warfare shapes policies, affects elections, and presents a constant threat to our digital security. The legacy of Cold War espionage didn't vanish with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Today, intelligence agencies worldwide continue their clandestine endeavors, employing cutting-edge technology and cyber tactics. This ongoing surveillance and data collection silently weave through the fabric of international relations, influencing decisions and power balances globally. As we turn our gaze to the 21st century, Russia's global role remains complex. Post-Cold War, Russia has projected its influence through energy politics, military interventions, and diplomatic strategies. Grappling with its Cold War legacy, Russia continues to shape geopolitical dynamics, often challenging Western policies and asserting its own interests on the world stage. The Cold War's shadow looms large over modern culture and media. Influencing films, books, and TV, it has forged narratives of espionage, heroism, and dystopia. This era's tension and symbolism continue to resonate, reflecting in stories of conflict, resilience, and the eternal quest for freedom that still captivate audiences worldwide. The Cold War's legacy extends into today's global interactions, shaping diplomatic strategies and foreign policies among nations. Current international relations and ongoing conflicts are often echoes of past alliances and discord, reminding us that the ideological battles of the 20th century continue to cast their long shadows over our world stage. Understanding the Cold War's history is crucial. It schools us in the consequences of global rivalry. By learning from past tensions, we can strive to prevent similar conflicts. This awareness guides leaders in making informed decisions, fostering cooperation over confrontation, and ensuring that past mistakes are not repeated. And that's a wrap on our journey through the Cold War's enduring legacy. We hope you've gained a deeper understanding. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and share your insights down below. Keep the curiosity alive and join us again at Spectrum Sphere for more enlightening discoveries.